The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WinBet. Bet $100 at WinBet, get a $100 free bet. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WinBet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. To claim your free bet today, welcome everybody to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford. I am coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast corner of England. It's blowing a gale today. My wig nearly blew off on several occasions. Today is October the 17th, Monday, and we are pulling double duty today, hence the early start. We have got Game 5 of the Cleveland Guardians at the New York Yankees, the decider in that, to cover, and then we're going to move on and cover the NLCS Game 1 and full series preview between the Philadelphia Phillies and the San Diego Padres. And joining me for both of those things is Mr. Noah Bennick. Noah, how are you doing, man?
What's going on, Malcolm? Doing great. Had a little weekend up at the cabin.
Nice.
The National League scenario that I threw out just kind of for fun at the beginning of our draft thing actually came through. We have the Phillies and the Padres in the NL Championship Series, and then there are storylines galore, in my opinion, in this series. You get Nola versus Nola, and then Bryce Harper versus Juan Soto. Both those matchups don't come in like a Legion travel team where you have the Nola brothers on the same team, or Harper Soto where they're on the Washington Nationals. Just two brand new teams. I love it.
Yeah, it's been another fun weekend. I haven't spoke to any of you boys since Friday. When the last I looked, I was watching Houston and Cleveland. Houston and
Seattle.
Houston and Seattle in that epic, because I was dying to go to bed, and I lasted till about the 11th inning, and I couldn't hack it anymore. And
that was probably the smart decision.
Yeah, I was delighted. I'm not known for my good decision making, but I was delighted that I went to bed because I'd have been up for another 2.5 hours. I can't decide if that was really turgid or really good fun. I think it was quite good fun because I didn't sit through and watch it. But I think because it was kind of on a knife edge stuff, and no one ever really looked like scoring. It was a weird one.
No, I mean, you just kind of have to feel bad for Seattle Mariners fans. Their first postseason game at home in their own building since 2001, and you wait 18 innings, your team doesn't score a run, and you lose 1-0. That's just a tough blow. Nothing much you can say after that one. But this team will be back. That Mariners team is very talented. And there is just dudes in the pitching staff that are not going away, whether it's Luis Castillo at the top of it, Logan Gilbert, and George Kirby was outstanding, or in the bullpen, many guys like Andres Munoz did very well throughout the postseason. So.
Yeah, I actually had the Astros just.
Did we lose Malcolm, or did we lose me? I'm not quite sure here. Hopefully it's. I think we lost Malcolm, just completely frozen.
Cool.
So, Malcolm, you back?
I'm back. You tell me, am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You were completely frozen for about 20 seconds.
I'm back. Okay, sorry. Do you know what I told you in the intro? The wind, it's a really stormy day here. It's been raining, but it's been really, really windy. I've been out in the car all day, and I was getting blown all over the motorway earlier on. So fingers crossed it holds up.
Fingers crossed that the game in the Guardians-Yankees holds up, and we don't lose another
That was going to be my next question. Yeah, so we'll move on to these games before connection cuts out completely. First of all, we're going to tackle this Game 5. It's the only tie in this round of fixtures that has gone to a Game 5 because of a rain out last week. So I know Dylan's our man in New York, and he says it's very touch and go where this is going to go ahead. So if you got any, what's the latest weather update? No, you be our weather girl. What's happening?
Our weather girl. Well, the guy that tweeted out that what game was it? It was the Yankees Guardians game last week. The guy that tweeted out that was postponed has since tweeted out sort of like a tweet previewing the game tonight. So I think he thinks that it's going to play. And in that case, I think there's going to be rain during the game. So this could be just an ugly setting for a baseball game, which makes it perfect October postseason baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot of people whinging about the lack of a roof on Yankee Stadium in general, just East Coast autumn
Don't
baseball.
talk to Colby about that. He hates stones.
Colby is getting more and more like everybody's granddad every day. It's really funny. I'm here for it. Afternoon, everybody who's joined us in the chat. Captain Encino's in there, as per.
Aye.
Thanks. Aye, Captain. So, Cleveland beat the Yankees tonight. Scheduled start time is 7:07 Eastern time. The starting pitchers are Aaron Savale and Jameson Taillon for the Yankees. Cleveland are plus 135. The Yankees are minus 136. Total is set at 7.5. Aaron Savale, 5-6 on the season, 4.92 ERA. 381 in his last 5 starts. Now, he's got some worrying figures against the Yankees this season. Obviously, a tiny sample size, but an ERA of 10 exactly.
Yep.
He's got a road ERA of 5.88 and an ERA against the AL East of 8.20. And I started 2 games against the Yankees this season. Both have been poor starts. This is his first playoff appearance this time round. And with Savale recently, if you can, maybe you can't scrub those 2 Yankees appearances out at all. His recent starts, he's gone for 2-2, 2-2, and 4 runs. So he's relatively consistent in terms of giving up runs. Jameson Taillon, 14-5 on the year, 3.91 ERA, 4.44 in his last 4, 5.40 against Cleveland, 3.67 at home, and 3.33 against the AL Central. His last 5, 2.42. 0-4. So you got handicap. If we were handicapping this regular season, Noah, like every night when we're looking at 15 games, this just instantly, your instinct is to take the over. Yes. Both pitchers are giving up runs. It's the first 7.5 we've seen for a long time, actually. I think the Phillies might have had a 7.5 with Syndergaard on the mound the other night.
There was an 8.5 in the Phillies Braves game.
That caught my eye. That was the highest one. But both pitchers giving up runs. Both pitchers are giving up runs against the opposition. So this could ebb and flow. My main concern with the total, is the weather. You need to enlighten me on this, Noah. How much difference will the weather or a rain-affected game have on the bats? Will it hamper the bats or will it hamper the pitchers?
It hampers both of them, honestly.
Yeah.
It hampers
and the fielders,
pitchers.
I suppose.
Yeah, that too. Really affects the fielders. The pitchers, they have the ability to, get the rosin on the pitcher's mound. You can dabble your hand in it before you throw the pitch. But ultimately, the pitch or the ball is going to be a little bit slippery. The batter has the pine tar on the bat. Ultimately, you're able to get somewhat of a good grip on that bat. But when a ground ball gets hit through the infield on a natural grass turf, it is not easy to throw it down to first base. That said, I don't think that's going to affect anybody. Ramirez has looked really good defensively in the postseason. Donaldson's a very good defensive third baseman. Shortstop, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, he's known for his defense, but he's had somewhat of a iffy time at the Yankees over there. And then, Ahmed Rosario, shortstop at Cleveland. Shortstop could be an issue. I'll say that for both teams. But I entered this the same way as you. I came in here looking to take the over, but because of both starting pitchers. But I think both of them are going to have relatively short leashes. And both teams are going to be ready to unleash their top 5 bullpen since September 1st with ERAs of 3.05 and 2.97 respectively. For the sake of time, I handicapped this basically the same way as you. So I'm not going to go too deep onto the teams, but I think that both bullpens are relatively rested. You have Sam Hedges and Trevor Stephan going for the long relievers for the Cleveland with good rest. So I think if Savali gets into any trouble, gives up 1 or 2 runs, I think it's a quick yank from Tito, and the Guardians go into this bullpen. And they have their best 2 leverage guys in James Karinchak and Emmanuel Clase, who last appeared on Friday. They had Saturday and Sunday off. Then for the Yankees, you have Loaizaga and Trevino, who had off days yesterday. My favorite play, it was a very tight game in my opinion. My favorite play is the under 7.5 minus 120 on WinBet.
Okay, you can tell by my giggle I'm going the opposite direction here. Insano's pointed out the possibility of the bullpens getting involved quite early here. I think this could ebb and flow this game. The games have been relatively tight. Cleveland have had a weird postseason in that we were expecting them to cobble together all of these runs like they do with a little bit of small ball, and they kind of haven't. They haven't been able to string together some hits. They've started hitting bombs all of a sudden, which they hadn't done all season. Oscar Gonzalez, Ramirez. They did a few more bits and bobs last night. Jimenez was getting busy on the bases. I just think there's going to be runs here because it is a winner-takes-all game and all. There's a lot at stake. And I thought the 7.5. I mean, it looks like 7 in a push would be my play, but the 7.5, that extra half run concerns me. But I'm going to stick with my instinctive handicapping of both of these pitchers because what we've talked about, how the Yankees can score runs fast, and even if Savali is on a short leash, it could be a 3-run bomb or something like that. And we could have 4 or 5 runs over the line by the second or the third inning. So I'm going to stick with the over here at 7.5. As far as the side goes, I still think the Guardians are just slightly limited. And I think as chalky as it is, I think the Yankees at minus 136 is going to be my play. They're the only team I've got left that I drafted in our little draft at the start of the season. So I really got no choice but to stick with them. I've got to stand by my boys as well.
Yeah, Munoz's got a really good chance in that draft thing. He's got the Astros and Phillies.
Yeah, he's going well. This is my last team, the Yankees. So
and Dylan's, for that matter.
If they get turned over tonight, I'm a dead man walking. Is Dylan in the same boat? Is he? So one of us is going.
Yeah, he's got the Guardians left. He had the Guardians, Mariners, and Rays.
So I'm going to give out 3 bets here. I'm going to give out the over 7.5. I'm going to give out the Yankees at minus 136. And I'm going to parlay them. New York and over 7.5 is at a place of 375, Noah.
Yeah, I was not able to. By the way, I like the parlay. Getting very degen with it with only one game tonight. I was not able to find player props on WinBet, but there is a player that I'm willing to target. I was looking for every way to not try to take the Yankees. So I'm going with Anthony Rizzo. He's doing well this series, hitting 500, 5 for 10 against Aaron Savali with 2 singles, a double, and 2 dingers. I hate to do it, but I'm going to lean slightly to the Yankee side, but I want no part in this side. I'm not going to touch it because that Cleveland bullpen's lethal, and I think Tito is not going to let Savali die on the sword. So that bullpen is going to get involved early if Savali struggles. So that is my handicap on that game. I don't have.
No, you said Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah,
I've got some props on my local book here. What does he want? Hits or runs or what?
Probably just hits or total bases.
Okay,
because he's got 2 bombs.
So over half a hit is minus 134. Total bases is minus over half a total base again minus 134. So
yeah, so that would be the guy that I target for like a player prop today. No pitchers. I think both pitchers could get pulled early.
Okay, fair enough. So expect a tight one. I'm just looking forward to seeing it. Actually, should be a fun game.
Sure.
So Noah mentioned there our title sponsor is WinBet. Here, the perfect time to join is now. If you bet $100, you'll get a $100 free bet. Casinos open 24 hours a day, 100% deposit bonus there, up to $1,000. Loads to choose from, and it's all at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet. So they know that we sent you, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet. Offer subject to change. T's and C's at winbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where Playthrough Winbet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Also, No House Advantage, changing the game, offering the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. Playing pick'em contests versus other people, and you can win $250,000 or more. Download the app, climb the leaderboard, any sport that you like, and you can win big money against the house. The promo code is SGPN at nohouseadvantage.com, or download the app in the App Store to get a first deposit match up to $25. No House Advantage will let you experience daily fantasy sports redefined. Okay, so tomorrow night sees the first. Tomorrow night, that's Tuesday evening, depending on when you listen to this. 8:03 first pitch, the first game in the NLCS between the Philadelphia Phillies and the San Diego Padres. The Phillies are officially a TBD pitcher for game one. San Diego have Yu Darvish going in game one. I'll give you the lines for both. Let's have a look. For the series, Philadelphia are plus 200. These are best of 7 now, remember. Philadelphia plus 200. San Diego Padres are minus 117. And for game one here, Zach Wheeler, I'm now seeing Zach Wheeler listed, Noah. We just talked about this about 17 minutes ago. And we didn't have an official pitch, although we did think it was Zach Wheeler.
Technically, Ranger Suarez turn in the order, but Wheeler is now on full days of rest. So
Zach Wheeler and the Phillies are plus 110. The Padres with Yu Darvish are minus 124, and the total is set at 6.5. So you can give us your game one, then I'll do my game one, then we'll go series. No.
Oh, okay. I didn't handicap game one because I
was
told we're doing it tomorrow. I thought on the podcast.
Okay. Oh well, give us your series then.
Well, I kind of have like a long-winded handicap in shambles. Just because it is the series and we don't have much to talk about on the pod, so I felt like airing it all out. The Phillies, they've ended Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina's, and maybe even Adam Wainwright's careers when they eliminated the Cardinals, and they also took out the defending world champions. I have to admit that I was on the wrong side of picking them in 2 series in a row. All 3 of you guys had the Phillies beating the Braves in that series. That was my world. I predicted them to repeat, but in my defense, I was the only one that took the Padres, so we're even. Both teams here in the NLCS have explosive offenses. Up and down the order, everybody has been productive, except for, honestly, the Phillies 1 and 2 hitters, Kyle Schwarber, who is in his time, like with the Cubs and the Red Sox, he was really good in October, but he's got a 0.50 batting average in the postseason this year. I think he's eventually going to come around. And the other guy to worry about on the Phillies is Rhys Hoskins, who's their 2-hitter. He's hitting 154, but had a big homer against Atlanta. Also, for the Padres, the first base position is struggling offensively with Josh Bell, Will Myers, and Brandon Drury all hitting like $150. The 2 most impressive players for me for these teams so far in this postseason have been Gene Segura for the Phillies and Trent Grisham for the Padres. Segura is 7 for 18, batting .389 this postseason, and Grisham is 8 for 21, batting .381 with 3 home runs. Honestly, I view these 2 teams equally in the starting pitching department, both between Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, and Syndergaard against Darvish, Snell, Musgrove, and Clevenger. It's tough to take a side. But again, I'm going to go down with the ship on this one. The Phillies' bad bullpen is eventually going to catch up to them, in my opinion. The Padres have a 2.19 bullpen ERA with one of the best lockdown closers in baseball with Josh Hader. He struck out Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, and Freddie Freeman in order to send the Friars to the NLCS. Plus, Robert Suarez was amazing against the Dodgers in that series with 6 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, only giving up 3 hits with no runs scored against him. For the Phillies in 3.2 innings this postseason, Sir Anthony Dominguez has looked great and should be their go-to guy out of the bullpen. But Jose Alvarado and Zach Eflin have more innings pitched than him this postseason with ERAs of 5.40 and 8.31 respectively. I just can't trust it. I can't put my money behind it. I like the Padres to win the series, and just for shits and giggles, mark me down for San Diego getting it done in 6 games, losing in Clevenger's start, and once against Aaron Nola, who's going to want to show up and pitch well against his brother Austin's team. So give me the Padres to win the series at -120, and the Padres to win in 6 at +400.
Okay, some fancy prices there, Noah. I started trying to unpack this. It's really hard to try and find an angle in, because there's not much to split them, is there?
No.
Philly are 4-3 up on the season. There was a lot of unders in the season, actually. I think it went 5-2 towards the under, but they haven't played each other since back in June or July time. So really, it's hard to put any stock in there. And both teams have been hitting okay in the postseason, although kind of Phillies have been carrying the luck a little bit. There's a lot of bloop singles dropped in for them. They've had balls falling in between convergent outfielders and stuff like that. It was. If you're looking at the pitching matchups, I don't think there's anything between the starters, like you've said. I don't know if we'll get a Clevenger start. You've got
it might be Manaea.
Well, I don't know if you'll need one. That's all. You've got one. Wheeler and Nola can go 1, 2, 5, and 6. There's similarities between what's going to happen here. I think we're staggering. So Wheeler and Nola and Darvish and Snell, I think, can both pitch 1, 2, 5, and 6. So giving Suarez 3 and Musgrove 3. So yeah, game 4 maybe would be the one. Clevenger, you might get a Clevenger start in there, but kind of bullpen day.
Yeah, I just think like with these two teams, like the whole trend of 3 starting pitchers in the postseason doesn't really work because these bullpens haven't been amazing all year. The Padres have really turned it on here lately, but the Phillies still hasn't. So I think the Phillies starting pitchers definitely have to go a little bit longer, which is why I think they have to go 4. And I think the Padres ultimately have to go 4 different starters as well.
So game 4 could be Syndergaard v. Clevenger, maybe.
That would be awesome.
yeah, I'm all for it. Juan Soto looks like he's heating up a little bit. Andy looks like he's spelling himself a little bit. Bryce Harper's been great. 10 hits so far in the playoffs. 6 of those went for extra bases as well. So nothing to split the top of the rotations. I think the Padres have got the better bullpen. Well, I don't think, and the Padres have the better bullpen and the better defense. But I think the Phillies have a deeper lineup and a more useful bench. So it's so hard at this point, right? Because I couldn't split them. The only thing I had left were the prices. Now, all we've seen all playoffs is underdogs winning. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in the National League.
Yeah, this one is a little bit closer. I mean, both sides really enjoyed their wins in the previous series.
They did.
Really good stories, really good narratives. So lots of fun tweets from people showing sort of the skyline of Philadelphia and the noise coming out of Citizens Bank and stuff like that. Now, as an underdog here, Philly aren't huge, they're even money. So, I mean, they're barely an underdog. So plus 200. I'm going to take the Phillies just because I can't split them and I'm getting a bigger price. What I do think, though, is I gave game 1 to the San Diego Padres tomorrow behind you, Darvish, in a tight one. I know we're not handicapping that now. I thought we were going to. But I have got, with Philly to win, with me taking Philadelphia to win, Philly to win from behind is plus 300. So it makes sense that if I'm giving game 1 to the Padres, but I still think Philly can crack the series, and that's going to be my second pick. So Philly at plus 100, and then Philly to win from behind at plus 300. Noah.
That does make sense. And I just want to mention this too. Like I wrote down all of the pre-postseason odds, and like you mentioned, Philly is a very, very short dog. Both these teams plus 500 to win the National League and plus 3,000 to win the World Series. At the beginning of the postseason. One of them is going to hit at 15-1, and one of them is going to have a chance to hit at 30-1 for the World Series. Malcolm. Yeah,
so I mean, even as we speak now, the Padres are now second favourites at plus 340, and the Phillies are third in at plus 375. Obviously, by virtue of the Yankees and the Guardians are both outside those prices because we don't know what we're going to get. So I'm still.
I'll say this too. Like
go on.
I respect what the Phillies have done. They ended that long postseason drought. And I mean, with the same thing with San Diego, but I really like what San Diego did at the trade deadline. They went for it. And you look at this expanded postseason, that was the point of it, in my opinion. And you look at teams that didn't go for it, they didn't make it, they didn't get rewarded of a postseason appearance in the Baltimore Orioles, the Minnesota Twins, the Chicago White Sox. Those teams didn't do enough in the trade deadline. Now you see that San Diego did, and look where they're at right now. They are kind of, like you mentioned, they're the second favorite. They're in the driver's seat to go to the World Series.
I mean, so many people complaining about the fact that the top teams, supposedly, or the teams with the best records this season, the top seeds have gone out. I don't know what else you can expect, because you have 162 game sample size in order to differentiate these teams, and then you pit them against each other in best of 3 or 5. And when everyone then just seems to want the top teams to advance, which is bollocks. And culturally, US sports works on playoffs. That's how you like to do it. That's what you do in all your sports. It's not the way we do it here. You win the league, that's it. You get the trophy. But you can't. I don't think you can have it both ways. And in a tiny sample size, how many? 2 weeks ago, the Cubs swept the Mets, yeah? We've seen the Rockies sweep the Dodgers. You could name 1,000 times this season. The Pirates, did the Pirates sweep the Dodgers, or at least beat them in a seat?
They were 5-1 against the Dodgers. They swept them once.
Captain Sanos, he knows the reason. That's because people like the bitch. But you just can't have it like it. If you have it the other way around, then you might as well just not have the playoffs, or just give the Dodgers the thing. So, the whole thing is... It's such a tiny sample size, a 3-game or a 5-game series, when you've decided that 162 games is the amount of games you need to decide which team is better than the others.
Yeah, so, and one other point on the Padres, they are the 28th market in the MLB. They are not one of the top markets, but they have a huge payroll, because baseball is the one sport that the city cares about. And contrary to the Phillies, instead of doing it really on the trade deadline, a lot of people said they didn't do much. Well, they got Syndergaard. He's somewhat been a presence in the postseason, but their main additions were in free agency prior to the season. They had Castellanos, they added Schwarber, and even you go back a year or two ago, they added Harper. Like, those are 3 of their first 4 batters, or first 5 batters in that batting lineup.
Yeah, I've got no problem with it at all. It's been really good fun. I've enjoyed it.
From the trade deadline. Respect to Brandon Marsh. Forgot about him.
Yes. Okay, right. We need to get this out and about before, so people can listen to this before the Cleveland Yankees game. No, I'll just recap. Give us your bets for Cleveland Yankees, and then the Padres Phillies series. Give us a little rehash, please.
All right. Favorite play is the under 7.5, going up against Malcolm there with the Yankees Guardians. That one is -120 on WinBet. I like many Anthony Rizzo props. Honestly, I don't think you can go wrong anyway. You try to skin that cat there. And then for the Padres, over the Phillies in the NLCS, I like them at -120 to win the series and +400 to do it in 6. Losing to Clevenger and Aaron Nola.
So for me, completely wasting everyone's time, I'll take the over 7.5 in Cleveland at New York. The Yankees are going to win as well, -136. Parlay those two, and you've got a nice +375 winner. For the Phillies Padres, I like the Phillies for no other reason. It's a bigger price. Honestly, names out of a hat, I think, for me. I wasn't good enough to split them. So give me the Phillies at +200. But with my lean towards the Padres getting it done behind Darvish tomorrow, Philly to win from behind is at +300. So that's going to be my second play on that one. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is it. We are about 4.5 hours away from hopefully first pitch between Cleveland and the New York Yankees. We'll get that one done, and then we can get our teeth right into these divisional series, so championship series. Sorry. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Cheers, Noah. Appreciate your time and effort. Thank you, everyone who's in the chat. Good luck with all your bets, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, we'll see you down the road. Cheers.